Have you ever witnessed a love so powerful that it defies centuries of tradition, ignites a revolution, and transforms not just hearts, but the very course of history? In a world where boundaries are set in stone and destiny is predetermined, one man dared to break the mold. Welcome to a story of passion and perseverance, where every secret meeting and stolen moment builds toward an epic transformation. What if the love that changes your life could change the world? Join us as we explore the captivating journey of Clour, a billionaire CEO who risked everything for love, and in doing so, became the beacon of hope and change that America so desperately needed. Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome to Heartbeat Narratives, your ultimate destination for all things romances, connection, and heartfelt stories. I'm thrilled to have you here, sharing this amazing journey of exploring love in all its beautiful, complex, and magical forms. Whether you're a hopeless romantic, someone searching for relationship insights, or just love diving into heartwarming content, you're exactly where you need to be. If you're enjoying what you see, I'd be incredibly grateful if you could hit that subscribe button to stay connected with our Heartbeat Narratives community. Drop a like to show some love, support, and motivation. Share this video with someone who might need a little romance in their life. Your support means the world to me and helps us continue creating content that celebrates love, connection, and the beautiful stories that bring us together. New York City pulsed with energy and possibility, a sprawling metropolis that never ceased to amaze those who called it home. Amid its towering skyscrapers, bustling streets, and a kaleidoscope of cultures, there emerged a figure who would soon challenge the very fabric of the American dream. Clour was not just any newcomer. He was a self-made billionaire, a brilliant mind whose innovative approach in the tech and finance industries had not only earned him immense wealth, but also the respect and admiration of many in the city that symbolize opportunity. Born in Nigeria and raised in a humble environment, Clour's journey was one of relentless ambition and unyielding determination. His success, however, was far from serendipitous. It was carved through years of grit, sacrifice, and unwavering belief in his potential. Clour's luxurious penthouse in Midtown Manhattan overlooked Central Park, an ever-present reminder of the vast difference between his past and his present. The city, with its stark contrast of opulence and hardship, reflected the very essence of his life's journey. Here, in a melting pot of dreams and realities, Clour built an empire that bridged continents and cultures. Yet, for all his achievements, he carried within him a quiet longing, a desire for something more profound than wealth, something that money could never buy. Genuine connection, a partner who understood the essence of his soul. It was against this dynamic backdrop that Elizabeth Carter entered his life. Daughter of the venerable Senator Richard Carter, Elizabeth was the epitome of grace and intellect. Growing up in a privileged environment, she was well-educated, fiercely independent, and possessed an innate compassion for those less fortunate. The Carters were one of New York's most storied families, known for their political legacy and their long-standing influence over the corridors of power. Despite her privileged upbringing, Elizabeth had never lost touch with the struggles of everyday people. She was driven by a desire to effect positive change in the world. Fate, or perhaps destiny, intervened one crisp autumn evening at a charity gala held in a grand historic building in downtown Manhattan. The gala was a convergence of New York's elite and its emerging innovators, a space where tradition met modernity. It was here that the paths of Clour and Elizabeth crossed. Clour, who had been invited to speak about his revolutionary business ventures, exuded an aura of quiet confidence. His words, filled with vision and hope, captivated the audience, but it was Elizabeth's subtle smile that caught his attention from across the room. Their initial conversation was as unexpected as it was electric. Beneath the glittering chandeliers and the hum of polite chatter, the two found common ground in their dreams of a better, more inclusive society. Despite coming from vastly different worlds, one steeped in tradition and political influence, the other in entrepreneurial innovation, their hearts resonated with the same rhythm. For that brief moment, the noise of New York City faded into insignificance, replaced by the shared promise of connection that transcended superficial barriers. As the night unfolded, the two discovered an undeniable chemistry. Elizabeth was drawn to Clour's passion and his refusal to be limited by the expectations imposed on him by society. Clour, in turn, admired Elizabeth's compassion, her fearless pursuit of justice, and her intellectual depth. They spoke of their dreams, of the social challenges that plagued their beloved city, and of the simple belief that love, when pure and unburdened by prejudice, could indeed change the world. Yet, the seeds of their romance were planted amidst an undercurrent of tension. Elizabeth's father, Senator Richard Carter, was a staunch traditionalist with deeply ingrained views about social hierarchy and racial superiority. The senator's political career, built on principles that often left little room for dissent, was as formidable as it was controversial. To him, Connell's success was a challenge, a disruption of the established order that had served his family for generations. As the gala drew to a close, the unspoken conflict simmered beneath the surface, hinting at the struggles that lay ahead for the star-crossed lovers. In the days that followed, New York buzzed with whispers of the remarkable encounter between the charismatic billionaire and the elegant senator's daughter. For Connell, this was both exhilarating and disconcerting. While he was accustomed to overcoming obstacles in the business world, the personal nature of this challenge was different. Every conversation with Elizabeth was a delicate dance between passion and caution. With every shared smile and lingering glance, the invisible lines between their disparate worlds blurred, creating a narrative that was as unpredictable as it was beautiful. This was not just a romance. It was a collision of ideologies, a meeting point of ambition and legacy. Connell's world, built on the tenets of innovation and progress, clashed with the well-established conservative values that had defined Elizabeth's upbringing. Yet, in the midst of these contrasts, there was an undeniable truth. The promise of change, the hope that love could rewrite the rules of an age-old system, was too powerful to ignore. As autumn turned to winter, the stage was set for a love story that would not only challenge societal norms, but would also ignite a movement. Connell's life, already a tapestry of triumphs and trials, was about to take on a new, unpredictable chapter, a journey that would lead him from the opulent boardrooms of New York City to the highest office in the land. Little did he know that his path would soon intertwine with the turbulent world of politics, where personal ambitions were pitted against age-old prejudices, and where the battle for love would take on a national dimension. The spark between Connell and Elizabeth grew steadily into a blazing flame that could not be doused by mere disapproval or prejudice. Their romance unfolded like a well-kept secret in the city that thrived on secrets and surprises. Each rendezvous was a testament to their shared resilience, a defiant statement against the forces that sought to keep them apart. Their love story began in the intimate corners of New York, a secluded cafe in Greenwich Village, a quiet corner of Central Park away from the throngs of tourists and long, meandering walks along the bustling streets. In these moments, they found solace in the relentless pace of the city and the looming specter of familial disapproval. Their conversations ventured deep into dreams of a better future, touching on themes of justice, equality, and the transformative power of love. With each encounter, they discovered more about one another, Elizabeth's innate empathy and quiet strength, and Connell's unwavering determination to break free from the shackles of societal expectations. However, as their bond deepened, so too did the obstacles in their path. Senator Richard Carter, a man whose identity was intertwined with tradition and power, soon learned of his daughter's secret affection for the enigmatic billionaire. His reaction was swift and unyielding. To him, Connell was an embodiment of everything he despised, a disruption to the established order, a threat to his legacy, and a challenge to the cultural hierarchy he held so dear. The senator's disapproval was not merely personal. It was a reflection of the broader societal prejudice that had long undermined the progress of individuals like Connell. Senator Carter's opposition took many forms. Behind closed doors, he orchestrated subtle yet powerful maneuvers aimed at isolating Connell from influential circles. Invitations to key social events were rescinded, and alliances within the political elite were called into question. It was as if a well-oiled machine had been set in motion, designed solely to dismantle the burgeoning relationship that dared to defy convention. Elizabeth, caught between the expectations of her family and the undeniable pull of her heart, found herself in a relentless tug-of-war between duty and desire. Despite the mounting pressure, the couple remained undeterred. Every challenge only seemed to strengthen their resolve. In the quiet intimacy of their private moments, They devised plans to confront the barriers that threatened to keep them apart. There were secret letters exchanged in the dead of night, whispered promises of a future where love transcended all boundaries, and clandestine meetings in hidden corners of the city. The thrill of these covert encounters added an element of danger to their romance, heightening the stakes with every passing day. One crisp evening, as winter's chill began to settle over New York, Connell and Elizabeth met in a secluded rooftop garden overlooking the city's illuminated skyline. The ambience was ethereal. Twinkling lights, a soft breeze, and the distant hum of urban life provided a perfect backdrop for their vulnerable confessions. Elizabeth's eyes, glistening with a mixture of hope and uncertainty, met Connell's as he spoke of dreams not just for themselves but for an entire nation. He envisioned a country where barriers of race, class, and prejudice were dismantled, replaced by a society built on equality and opportunity. Their conversation took on a revolutionary tone. In that moment, the couple realized that their love was more than a personal affair. It was emblematic of the larger fight against entrenched societal injustices. They began to see themselves as pioneers, not just of a romance that defied convention, but of a movement that could redefine the social order. Every stolen kiss and every secret embrace became a symbol of resistance, a bold declaration that love was a force potent enough to challenge even the most established norms. Yet, the challenges they faced were formidable. Senator Carter's machinations grew more aggressive as he enlisted influential allies to turn public opinion against Connell. Scandals were fabricated and whispers of impropriety were strategically leaked to tarnish Connell's pristine image. The media, always eager for a sensational story, picked up the narrative of a forbidden romance, twisting it into a spectacle that polarized public sentiment. For Connell, this was more than just a personal battle. It was a fight for his dignity, his vision, and the right to love without boundaries. Amidst a storm of controversy, the couple found strength in their shared vision. They met in secret sanctuaries, a quiet bookstore in Brooklyn, an old theater in Harlem, places where the echoes of the past mingle with dreams of the future. It was during these intimate meetings that their love transformed from a fleeting infatuation into a powerful partnership. Elizabeth's steadfast support emboldened Connell to challenge the forces arrayed against him, igniting a spark within him that would soon kindle the flames of a political revolution. Their relationship, though tested by external forces, thrived on an undercurrent of passion and perseverance. With every trial they overcame, their bond deepened, and the promise of a shared future grew ever more tangible. The clandestine nature of their romance, fraught with danger and uncertainty, added layers of complexity and suspense. They knew that every secret meeting could be their last. Every whispered conversation might be intercepted by those determined to see them fall. In this crucible of love and adversity, the foundation of a new era was being laid. The romance between Connell and Elizabeth was not just a tale of two individuals defying the odds. It was a beacon of hope for a generation yearning for change. Their love was a testament to the idea that even in a world riddled with prejudice and entrenched power structures, the human spirit could triumph, fueled by passion, resilience, and an unyielding belief in the power of unity. As their hearts intertwined, so did their destinies. The battle they waged against societal norms and familial expectations was slowly evolving into something far greater, a movement that would challenge the very nature of leadership and redefine what it meant to truly serve the people. Every shared dream and every stolen moment was a building block for the future they envisioned, a future where love and justice went hand in hand, and where the barriers of the past crumbled before the might of a united, determined populace. The turbulence of public scandal and personal strife pushed Connell Adeyemi toward a path he had long hesitated to consider: the realm of politics. It was a decision that would not only redefine his life, but also alter the course of history. The experiences of relentless discrimination and the bitter taste of being unjustly maligned by a society clinging to outdated norms had ignited within him a burning desire for change. Connell recognized that the fight for equality, for a more inclusive society, required action on a scale far beyond boardroom negotiations and corporate strategies. Inspired by the fervor of his love for Elizabeth and the shared dreams they had nurtured in secret, Connell began to envision a nation reborn, a country where every citizen, regardless of their background, could thrive in an environment of fairness and opportunity. His decision to step into the political arena was met with both optimism and apprehension. Friends and supporters applauded his courage, while detractors saw it as a desperate bid for personal vindication. The early days of his campaign were marked by a whirlwind of challenges. Cunnell knew that the battle ahead would not be fought on the polished floors of corporate headquarters, but on the rugged terrain of public opinion, media scrutiny, and entrenched political interests. His first public appearance as a political candidate was at a community town hall in a diverse, economically struggling neighborhood of Brooklyn. The venue was modest, a stark contrast to the lavish events of the corporate world he was accustomed to, but it was here that he found a genuine connection with everyday Americans. Standing before a sea of hopeful faces, Cunnell spoke with the raw honesty and passion that had become his trademark. He recounted his personal journey from a humble beginning in Nigeria to the heights of corporate success, emphasizing that his story was not one of isolated triumph, but a shared struggle and perseverance. His words resonated deeply with the audience, who saw in him a reflection of their own hardships and dreams. The applause that followed was not just for his achievements, but for the promise of a better future, a future where the doors of opportunity will be flung open to all, regardless of their origins. Yet, the campaign trail was fraught with pitfalls. Senator Carter, determined to see his disapproval manifest in political defeat, unleashed a barrage of tactics designed to undermine Cunnell's credibility. Rumors and false narratives were spread through carefully orchestrated media campaigns. Editorials painted Cunnell as an outsider with ulterior motives, questioning his patriotism and casting doubts on his ability to lead. The intensity of these attacks tested Cunnell's resolve. There were moments when the pressure threatened to overwhelm him, a crushing weight of expectation and derision that seemed almost insurmountable. But it was during these darkest hours that Cunnell's inner strength and the unyielding support of Elizabeth shone the brightest. Behind closed doors in the quiet solitude of his office overlooking the sprawling cityscape, he pored over policy proposals and met with advisors who shared his vision of change. Every setback was met with a renewed determination. He began to craft a platform that addressed the root causes of systemic injustice, from educational inequity and economic disparity to healthcare reform and criminal justice. His proposals were ambitious, yet grounded in a pragmatic understanding of the challenges faced by ordinary citizens. As the campaign gained momentum, so too did the fervor of the movement that Cunnell was building. Grassroots supporters emerged from every corner of the nation, young and old, from diverse communities, united by a common desire for a government that was truly representative of the people. Social media buzzed with hashtags celebrating his candidacy, and rallies sprouted in cities from Los Angeles to Chicago, where the air was charged with the energy of hope and defiance. Despite the growing popularity, the road was anything but smooth. Senator Carter's relentless sabotage extended into every facet of the campaign. He mobilized a network of influential lobbyists and political operatives who worked tirelessly to sow seeds of doubt among key demographic groups. There were moments when it seemed as though the carefully constructed edifice of Cunnell's candidacy might collapse under the weight of orchestrated misinformation and scandal. One particularly harrowing episode occurred during a televised debate. The moderator, seemingly impartial, allowed the conversation to veer dangerously close to racial and cultural stereotypes. Senator Carter's hired pundits seized the opportunity to launch a barrage of insinuations, painting Cunnell's background as a threat to national security and traditional values. The tension in the studio was palpable, and the nation watched as the debate turned into a high-stakes battle of wits and wills. With measured calm, Cunnell countered each attack with facts and heartfelt appeals to unity and progress. His poised response not only silenced many of his critics, but also won him newfound respect among viewers, who had been previously swayed by the negative rhetoric. Throughout this period of intense public scrutiny, Elizabeth remained his steadfast anchor. Often seen by his side during key campaign events, her presence was a powerful counter-narrative to the smear campaigns. She was a living testament to the integrity and depth of Cunnell's character, and her public endorsements began to shift the narrative in his favor. Together, they embodied a union that defied convention, a symbol of what was possible when love and resilience converged in the face of adversity. As the primary season progressed, Cunnell's campaign became a masterclass in perseverance. His speeches were electrifying, his policy proposals detailed and compassionate, and his personal story a rallying cry for millions who had long felt marginalized. His campaign headquarters, once a modest office space, blossomed into a dynamic hub of activity. Volunteers worked tirelessly, organizing door-to-door canvassing, community forums, and town hall meetings that bridged the gap between the political elite and the everyday citizen. In a pivotal moment that would define his journey, Connell traveled to a historically underrepresented region in the American South. The region, scarred by decades of discrimination and economic neglect, was initially skeptical of a candidate who came from a background so different from her own. Yet, it was here that Connell truly connected with the heart of the American experience. In a long, impassioned speech delivered in a small community center, he recounted the struggles of his own youth and laid bare the systemic injustices that had affected countless families across the nation. His vulnerability and authenticity broke down walls of suspicion, and by the end of the event, he had won over many who had once doubted his sincerity. This defining moment marked a turning point in the campaign. As word of his heartfelt appeal spread, so did a renewed sense of momentum. The coalition of supporters that had once seemed fragile and fragmented coalesced into a formidable force, unified by the belief that Connell's vision could usher in a new era of equality and opportunity. The movement, now transcending political affiliations and cultural divides, became a clarion call for change, a testament to the power of collective hope. By the time the general election loomed on the horizon, Connell Adeyemi was not merely a candidate. He was a symbol of possibility. His journey from a determined entrepreneur to a political trailblazer had galvanized a nation, inspiring countless individuals to believe that change was not only possible but within reach. The campaign's success was measured not just in votes, but in the hearts it touched and the barriers it began to dismantle. It was a journey fraught with peril, sacrifice, and moments of sheer doubt, but it was also a journey defined by the unwavering belief that love and justice could, together, reshape the future. The night of the presidential election was electric, a culmination of years of struggle, hope, and unwavering perseverance. As polls closed and the nation collectively held its breath, the story of Connell Adeyemi had already transcended the confines of political rivalry. It had become a movement, an emblem of society in flux. The results, when they finally came in, confirmed what many had believed deep in their hearts. History was being made. Connell's victory was not just a personal triumph, but a resounding message to a nation ready for transformation. The announcement was made during a live broadcast from a grand auditorium in New York City. The room was filled with supporters, volunteers, and dignitaries from every corner of the country. The air was thick with anticipation and jubilation. When the final vote count was revealed, the cheers that erupted were deafening, a cacophony of hope, relief, and vindication. For the first time in American history, a black African immigrant was being sworn in as the President of the United States. As the news spread, the nation was engulfed in a tidal wave of reactions. Celebrations erupted in cities, towns, and communities that had long been marginalized, while critics and skeptics were forced to confront the undeniable reality of change. Amid the chaos and celebration, however, one truth remained constant. Connell's journey was far from over. With the immense responsibility of leadership now on his shoulders, he faced the monumental task of uniting a nation divided by decades of prejudice and political strife. In the weeks that followed, the inauguration of President Connell Adeyemi became a beacon of hope and reconciliation. The inaugural address was a stirring call to arms, a declaration that the nation would no longer be defined by its past, but would instead be driven by a collective vision of equality, justice, and progress. In his eloquent speech, Connell recounted the challenges he had faced, the sacrifices made, and the enduring power of love and unity. His words resonated not just with those who had supported him from the beginning, but with millions who had longed for a government that truly represented their values. Among the many who witnessed this historic moment, Elizabeth Carter stood as the epitome of grace and resilience. By his side, she had been his confidant, his inspiration, and his unwavering support throughout the tumultuous journey. Their relationship, once shrouded in secrecy and scandal, was now celebrated as a testament to the triumph of love over adversity. In a ceremony that was both intimate and grand, the two finally married in a lavish celebration that symbolized the unity of disparate worlds. The wedding, held in a centuries-old chapel with stained glass windows that bathed the room in a kaleidoscope of colors, was attended by dignitaries, community leaders, and everyday citizens whose lives had been touched by Connell's story. The union of Connell and Elizabeth was more than a personal milestone. It was a transformative moment in the narrative of a nation in transition. Their marriage was a powerful statement against the forces of division and prejudice. It embodied the very essence of what Connell's presidency stood for, a belief that love, when nurtured with compassion and conviction, could overcome even the most entrenched barriers. For Senator Richard Carter, the wedding was a moment of painful reflection. Witnessing his daughter's joy and the genuine happiness shared between her and Connell forced him to confront the rigid prejudices that had long defined his worldview. In time, he came to recognize that his opposition was rooted not in a legitimate concern for his daughter's future, but in a fear of change, a fear that was ultimately unfounded in the face of the couple's undeniable love and the transformative power of their union. The weeks following the wedding were a whirlwind of political activity, public appearances, and behind-the-scenes negotiations as President Adeyemi set out to fulfill his promises. With Elizabeth at his side as both partner and advisor, he embarked on a series of initiatives aimed at tackling the systemic injustices that had plagued the nation for so long. Education reforms, healthcare overhauls, and measures to address economic disparities were introduced with fervor that had been absent in previous administrations. Each policy was a step toward a future that Connell had envisioned, a future where every citizen, regardless of race or background, could flourish in a society built on fairness and opportunity. The triumph of the election and the subsequent celebrations brought with them an air of optimism that permeated the entire country. In boardrooms, neighborhoods, and community centers, people began to believe in the possibility of change. The nation, long accustomed to division and discord, now found itself united by the promise of a new era, a time when the legacy of the past would give way to a future forged in the spirit of unity and progress. Yet, even in the midst of jubilation, challenges remained. The transition from a campaign fueled by hope to the practical demands of governance was a complex process. The corridors of power, steeped in tradition and bureaucracy, resisted the winds of change that Connell represented. There were battles to be fought in legislative halls, compromises to be negotiated with wary political opponents, and lingering doubts among those who had once embraced his candidacy with fervor. However, the same resolve that had carried him through the campaign proved to be the cornerstone of his presidency. In his first year in office, President Adeyemi introduced a series of landmark policies that began to dismantle the structural inequities in education, healthcare, and economic opportunity. These reforms, though met with resistance from established power brokers, steadily began to bear fruit in communities that had long been neglected. Slowly but surely, the promise of a more inclusive America was taking shape, a promise that was inextricably linked to the journey of a man who had defied the odds and a woman whose love had been his constant beacon. The triumph and union of Connell and Elizabeth became an enduring symbol of what was possible when love, resilience, and the courage to defy convention converged. Their story, broadcast on every screen and echoed in every conversation, was a reminder that even the most deeply entrenched societal barriers could be overcome. In the hearts of millions, the message was clear. A better, fairer future was not only possible, it was already unfolding before their eyes. At its core, the story of Connell Adeyemi and Elizabeth Carter is a testament to the timeless power of love and the resilience of the human spirit. Their journey, rife with obstacles, steeped in prejudice, yet brimming with hope, serves as an allegory for the struggle for equality in a world often divided by race, class, and tradition. Through their relationship, we see that love is not a passive force, but a dynamic agent of change, capable of challenging even the most entrenched systems of injustice. Connell's transformation from a successful CEO to a pioneering political leader illustrates the idea that personal growth and societal progress are deeply intertwined. His path was paved with sacrifices, relentless determination, and a willingness to confront his own limitations. Each step of his journey, from the boardrooms of New York City to the hallowed halls of the presidency, was marked by a steadfast belief in the possibility of a brighter future, a future where every individual's potential was recognized and celebrated. Elizabeth's unwavering support and strength not only bolstered Connell in his darkest moments, but also symbolized the transformative power of unconditional love. In standing by him, she defied the expectations set upon her by a legacy steeped in tradition, proving that true partnership is forged in the fires of adversity. Their union was more than a personal victory. It was a clarion call for societal change, a vivid reminder that love can bridge divides and heal old wounds. This narrative, rich with suspense and emotion, challenges us to reconsider our own preconceptions. It invites us to envision a world where every obstacle can be overcome by the power of love, and where leadership is measured not by the maintenance of old hierarchies, but by the courage to embrace change. In the end, the story of Cunhal and Elizabeth is a celebration of the human capacity to dream, to love, and to transform even the most resistant systems into a tapestry of hope and opportunity. As the first chapter of a new era closed and another began, the legacy of President Cunhal Adeyemi and his beloved Elizabeth Carter continue to resonate throughout the nation. Their remarkable journey, marked by audacious love, formidable obstacles, and triumphant breakthroughs, left an indelible imprint on the hearts and minds of those who dared believe in a more equitable society. In the years that followed, the impact of Cunhal's presidency was felt far beyond the corridors of power. His groundbreaking policies not only reformed outdated systems, but also fostered a renewed sense of unity and purpose among the diverse populations of the United States. Communities once marginalized found their voices amplified, and the promise of society built on fairness and opportunity was gradually realized in everyday life. Elizabeth's role in this transformation was equally profound. More than supportive partner, she emerged as a formidable advocate for social justice, using her influence to champion causes that had long been neglected. Together, they proved that personal love can indeed spark a revolution, an unstoppable force capable of reshaping a nation's destiny. The narrative of Cunhal's journey serves as a timeless reminder that the struggle for progress is an ongoing one, fought not only in the halls of government, but in the hearts of individuals who dare to challenge the status quo. Their story is an enduring testament to the power of resilience, the beauty of human connection, and the belief that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, change is both inevitable and within reach. In reflecting on the sweeping arc of their lives, from the humble beginnings of a young immigrant to the zenith of presidential power, from secret meetings in the quiet corners of New York to the public celebrations of a united nation, the lessons are clear. True leadership is born not from privilege alone, but from the courage to confront injustice, the wisdom to embrace diversity, and the unwavering commitment to love unconditionally. As the nation moved forward, inspired by the legacy of a man who dared to dream and the woman who stood by his side, the story of Cunhal and Elizabeth continued to inspire future generations. Their love, in all its complexity and brilliance, became a symbol of hope, a beacon for all who believe that through unity, perseverance, and the transformative power of love, even the most insurmountable barriers can be overcome.